Today's topic:
Toxic Filipino culture that doesn't get talked about enough is Filipinos' inferiority complex.
are we really a group of insecure people? And we, meaning us Filipinos.
I only feel the inferiority when I'm in the locker room with the other guys.
Ah, okay, I can get that. That's why I don't go to locker rooms.
Yeah.
Like, I know me, and I'm not gonna put myself in a position to feel more
More inferior than what it is. I'm
Yeah.
proud of being a Filipino.
Okay.
I've never encountered anyone except in the hospital. Actually, there's a lot that belittled me because I'm Filipino, or because I'm immigrant. Because I'm an immigrant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Not just because I'm Filipino. So that's why I didn't took it to heart that they belittled me because I'm Filipino.
They belittled you because
I'm an immigrant.
you are an immigrant.
Yes.
And around the time that you moved, it wasn't like a full boom yet compared to when I moved here. You moved 2009.
9.
I moved here 2016, and I guess in those 7 years, a lot has changed. They've gotten
Used
more
to
used
yeah.
to immigrants.
That's
I guess.
correct.
Yep. Let's talk about this video. It was just reposted by Filipinos in the Six, a Filipino-centric Instagram page. I'm guessing they are from Toronto.
Because 6, right? Their
Six, yes,
their
but
zip code.
they mostly post about Filipino stuff.
Okay.
Colonizer blood as a status symbol. Bitch, that means your family was weak. No, but an angel loses its wings every time a Filipino puts a Spanish flag next to the Filipino flag in their bio.
I feel like this is more of an immigrant issue. The tinge of their Spanish
blood?
ancestry.
Unless
Or
they're rich.
that's what they use as a status symbol. Them being old money
Yeah.
and not having some, like, a smidge of Spanish ancestry. I feel like this is more of an immigrant thing. For second-gen immigrants, I think this is more of an issue with them. Especially with how much Spanish last names we have.
Yeah.
Me and you, we don't have Tagalog last names.
No.
There's no visible proof of us having Spanish ancestry anymore.
I just like the fact that she said that if this is the case because your family is weak, because your
Yeah.
family got conquered.
If you're using it as a status symbol.
Yeah.
I get that, yeah.
No, but an angel loses its wings every time a Filipino puts a Spanish flag next to the Filipino flag in their bio if A, they don't live in Spain, and B, none of their parents are actually Spanish from Spain.
Do you know anyone that has the Spanish flag on their bio?
That's why I feel like
Even here, even the people, even the Filipinos here, I've never seen anyone.
Do you know much second gen immigrants though?
No.
I feel like this is more of a
Oh,
second gen immigrant,
okay.
not a thing with first gen immigrants. I would say if there's flags for each province or each town, they would be using that more, along with the Philippine flag. Like, you know how, like, younger people now use their ethnicities flags in their bio. If there's flags for each provinces, I would rock that.
Yeah, me too.
But it's not hurting anybody. It is. You are literally perpetuating this idea within the Filipino culture that having colonizer blood for some reason makes you better than being a full-blooded Filipino. But you just don't have the critical thinking skills to actually see what that's doing to the culture. Actually, there's a big percentage of Filipinos that actually do have Spanish blood, so you're just invalidating their experience.
I dig her idea. You repping the colonizers is detrimental to your own identity. Because this is baked in with us.
Yeah.
We have a colonialist mentality.
I always blame the Spanish. Why we love the teleserie, why I think crab mentality came from the Spanish too. I have a feeling, yeah. Because like imagine that, like they conquered us for 300 years. I think everything, like all of this came from them. A little bit of the Japanese, a little bit of the American, but I think most of it, like they're the roots of our behavior.
I don't see us getting anything from the Japanese. They didn't, me.
Yeah, even our
they
looks.
didn't-
I think that's more of the Chinese.
But those people that has like East Asian characteristics, they have immediate Chinese blood. They're not like far
Like
removed
half Japanese,
from,
yeah.
like, say, our Spanish ancestors. It's way closer. That's why they have those features. They can still rep being half or part
Chinese, yeah. Because they are.
Because
Because
they are. It's not far removed.
Yeah.
Us, like the remainder of us being Spanish is mostly baked in. Mostly unconscious habits. And our words, yeah,
Our
words.
language, our words, right?
Yeah, a lot has been influenced by Spaniards. And sure, culturally, we have been more influenced by the Spanish. But for some reason, I feel like we've been more influenced as a society by the United
With
States.
Americans.
Yeah. And I
Us the
don't,
love for American made goods.
I would say it's part of having a colonialist mentality. Like for us, it's the same as them being white and not being like country specific.
Yeah.
We worship them because they have fairer skin, which is pretty much the same as the Spanish,
Yeah.
I would say. I don't count Japan as an influence. I feel like it's more of a footnote because they didn't really invade the Philippines to expand
Their colony.
their colony. It
Or
was
just
more
bargaining
of,
chip,
yeah,
right?
it's more for strategic reasons against the United
The
States.
United States.
Yeah.
It then bleeds into the color of your skin. Let's not deny the Philippines has a light skin problem. They view being dark or tanned as being bad, ugly. I've had people try to deny this before and saying that I'm just spreading lies when literally most of the products that you see being advertised here in Philippines is skin bleaching, skin whitening shit, from soaps to freaking injections and pills.
Facts. She's spitting facts there.
It is true, but colorism isn't exclusive to Filipinos though.
Yeah, that's true. A
It
lot.
is baked in with us, but it's not exclusive to Filipinos. Even East Indians have
But
this.
we're obsessed though. I guess all
Yes.
of yeah. Really
Maybe-
obsessed.
I would say we're obsessed about it because there's a way for us to be able to achieve a bit fairer
Yeah.
skin compared to, like, say, African Americans. Like, you can only use bleaching soap too much.
Too much.
But you won't be as light skinned as the ones they call light skins. Maybe Indians too can get a bit lighter.
Because with the East Indians too, right? That's how you can tell their class in the caste system. If they have lighter skin,
Yeah.
they're from
The higher caste.
the higher caste.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
It's pretty much the same with us. It's going to be the fairer skinned people are the ones that didn't have to work in
Under the sun,
farms.
yeah, in the
Yes.
farms, and they can
Yeah.
afford nice soap, whitening soap.
Well, from before.
From
though.
before, okay,
From
from
before.
before.
It stems from our colonizers being white, and then the fairer skinned native people didn't have to work under the sun. Yes, I agree with her. Because even us, like, I try to not care about
Your skin color.
the skin color, but I still get affected by it because it's baked in.
Yeah.
Like me myself, if I wasn't married, I wouldn't care. If I wasn't looking, I want to be perceived by my wife as attractive,
Yeah.
of course.
Or
But
someone that she can show to the world,
yes,
right?
in her own perspective too, it's also baked in her too, and she is also aware that it is colorist, but it's way deep in our
Yeah.
heads already. That's how we were raised. That's how we were wired. Like growing up, don't play under the sun.
Mangingitim ka.
You only can play past 4 p.m. You can only play in the morning. You can only play
Yeah.
up until 10 a.m. because the sun's hurtful around that
Yeah.
time.
And even being a guy, like if there's gonna be two of you dating one girl or trying to impress one girl,
Yeah.
of course this girl's gonna be picking the one that has fairer skin.
It's a losing battle.
Yeah.
I can get her fighting this battle here in the West. But try to fight this battle back home. It's alright to have a defeatist attitude.
Yeah.
It's a losing battle.
Yeah.
And sure, in some years maybe it will change, but not in our lifetime, I would say.
No.
And that bleeds into the mentality that anything from the West is the best, even when it's not. The West can be mid, the West can be worse sometimes.
Especially now, I think it's becoming more predominant that everyone wants to have a fair skin because of the Koreans.
Korean. She's talking about the West, but motherland taken over by the East.
The East, yeah.
Yes. Which is still a colonialist mentality. They don't even have to conquer our lands, but they have conquered our
Entertainment,
airwaves.
yeah, airwaves.
Yes. We have this notion to compare our own acts to K-pop acts. Okay, sure, they are the standard, but that's how we try to gauge them.
Yeah.
And in turn, we try to model them to be as fair as them
Yeah.
when we have our own
Our
skin
own.
color.
And we shouldn't be comparing, right? but it's hard to do it.
It's hard to do it. It's a losing battle.
And that mentality also bleeds into the idea that speaking English in the Philippines is also a status symbol and the type of English that you speak as well. A couple of years ago when I was visiting family, my aunt, who's literally a teacher, was protesting against they were about to take out the Filipino language out of the school's curriculum and replacing it with English entirely, wiping out our culture. We barely have a collective identity because our culture is too busy praising our fucking colonizers.
Because like I was talking about that too before when we were younger. Like why do we have the Filipino subject if we're Filipino already? When I was young, I was questioning it.
Yeah.
But now it all makes sense. We need to have a Filipino curriculum. Even though we speak the language of Filipino, we need to learn some parts, how to integrate it, like how to actually connect it all together, right? So I believe the Filipino curriculum should stay.
Because that's the most basic part of your culture that you can preserve. That's the easiest front to take on is your language. If you start losing your language, that's when you start losing
Your identity, yeah.
every other front of the culture battle. I agree with this. My beef though with the second gen immigrants. This is when I start feeling they're overcompensating for them being Filipino. I look at it as they're trying to front them being Filipino because they've been rejected out here in the West. Because you're not white, we don't accept you. So where do they want to
Belong,
revert
yeah.
back to? Of course, their roots.
Yeah.
So now they're being overly proud of being Filipino. I appreciate that. But you can do more. That's for me. That's why for every second gen immigrant that try to get back to the Philippines, like at least basic, they try to learn
Tagalog, yeah.
or whatever dialect their folks
Yeah,
are
they grew
from.
up with.
That I give props to.
So how can they do more?
Try to understand why they are that. Don't just push back. Just try to understand which are losing battles. And then don't push back on the older generation because you can't fix that
Yeah.
anymore. Just impart it to the next ones. Because you know how whites here in Canada and even in the States, they just know they're white. They're Caucasian.
Yeah.
They have been like how many generations removed from their first generation that immigrated. Like say there's Irish people, there's Ukrainian people,
Ukrainian.
there's Scottish people. They don't have those identities anymore.
They're just Canadian or Americans.
They're just Canadian now. And I feel like that's what's gonna happen further down the line. Like the Filipinos here are still in the early stages of populating North America.
Yeah.
There will come a time where it's hard for them to identify as Filipinos anymore.
Especially if they get blended into a family of
Yes.
whites. Because they'll lose that skin color. They're going to lose some Filipino traits.
Yes. Besides that, the generation before them, what they imparted to the next one is getting less and less
Yeah.
and less and less. So before, I used to hate on these kinds of second-gen immigrants. But then I'm starting to feel more for them because this is their lived experience.
Yeah.
This is what they know. This is what has been imparted to them.
They don't know anything back home.
They don't know anything back home. So I'm starting to walk back on what I feel against the second gen immigrants because they're trying to reconnect with their roots. And for me, just stop pushing back on the older generation because
There's no way you
it's
can
all
change
done
them. Yeah.
for. They focused on giving you a better life. That's why you can fight for these kinds of causes because your parents struggled for you
They
to be able
sacrificed.
to have these kinds of sentiments. Now it's your turn to pass it on to the next generation. Whatever you learned from your older generation, be it wrong or right, explain to them how it came to be, but tell them why it should be changed.
Explain it.
And you can explain more of it if you understand more about it.
It's all in the past. Why are you bringing up the past? Yeah, it happened in the past. It's still prevalent in the present. Philippines is never gonna get anywhere until A, Philippines stops waiting for other powers to save them, learn to stand on their own 2 feet, and actually have some national pride.
Yeah, that's not the problem in the Philippines. The problem is how the people running the country is running the show.
Yes.
That's the problem.
People in the Philippines don't have the bandwidth to change anything culturally because they are busy trying to
Survive. Trying to put food in the table.
And that's what your parents was able to do. Move out so you can have a cozier life than people from
Yeah.
the motherland. You have your own struggles, but people back home have their own bigger struggles. And they don't have the bandwidth or the capacity to shoulder these kinds of societal issues. Maybe when they get to feed themselves,
Yeah.
it'll get there.
If they can educate themselves,
Yeah.
their kids, because right now they're busy trying to take care of their basic needs.
I would say keep fighting the good fight, but address it to your own second gen immigrants out here. Because Filipinos from the motherland wouldn't understand this.
Yeah.
I've tried to read the comments. She is getting discredited for her trying to stand up for Filipino culture, but then she's talking about it in English. Her points are
It's valid. Yeah, it's valid.
but again, you have a different lived experience than the Filipinos back home.
Yeah.
So keep fighting the good fight,
Yeah.
I would say.
And if people are saying bad things about her, saying that she doesn't know how to experience life in the Philippines, like,
And that
so
would be
it
me before.
yeah,
That would
that's
be
me
before.
too.
Yeah.
If I watch this and I'm still in the Philippines, like I would be upset. Or if I'm younger,
Yeah.
like what do you know? But I understand her.
Doesn't make her wrong.
Yeah. And-
Especially with the Filipinos that she gets to interact with back home. Her talking about her aunt protesting against the Filipino subject being taken off of
The curriculum?
The curriculum feels like from a younger age we're taught English and then we're being geared up to move out of the Philippines, which is, I would say, a success for some Filipinos because it is an easier pathway for success than trying to
To work
scratch
your-
and
yeah.
claw back home. For me, that's the battlefront that she should be fighting. Pass it on to the next generation because it's a losing battle with the older generation.
They won't understand this.
They wouldn't understand.
They're just
It's
gonna be
baked in.
upset. Yeah.
It's how they are wired.
And if she's able to educate second gen immigrant through this video,
yes.
that's awesome.
And not just push back.
Yeah.
Like let them know why.
Yeah.
Let them know why it's wrong. And this is part of it. It's strengthening, but it's mostly just bonding with her same generation. What we need is this getting passed on to the next generation. So the Filipino identity stays on out here in the West.
The West. But if you ask me, Filipinos inferiority complex, I think we are proud people here in the West. And especially now that if we get compared to other immigrants, we are in the better echelon.
Yes.
Like what
Yes.
Josh is saying,
Yes.
we're in a better position
Yeah.
than other immigrants.
Yep.
But yeah,
Which
like-
is kind of the result with us having a colonial mindset.
mindset. Yeah.
So I guess it kind of helped us adapt out here in the West. But then if we keep this on, that's when we start losing what we impart the
identity.
next generation. Gotta balance it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But props to you, girl. I don't know what your
keep fighting
name.
the good fight.
Yeah, like
I would say.
having the guts to put
Yeah.
this out online.
Having the guts to fight the battles we weren't able to fight for. Because we're pussies.
And
about
she's
it.
young. Like, look, yeah, she's probably what, 18?
Second gen immigrant for
Yeah.
sure.
She's
Yeah.
she's young.
But yeah, let's end it on a good note. Keep fighting the good fight. And yeah, again, you got Edmund here.
You got me 2X.
And this
This
is
is Twice the D.